China is one of the world's most fascinating and complicated countries, and its cities seem to get bigger every year. Considered a rural society just a few decades ago, China today is home to the world's largest urban population. I traveled to China independently for more than a decade, on several occasions. And in this video I will show you some of the most striking and interesting cities I came across. From the ancient centers of Beijing and Xi'an,
to the modern megacities of Shenzhen and Guangzhou, we visit the freezing winter festivals of Harbin and the popular summer holiday beaches of coastal Qingdao. From the streets of fusion cities like Hong Kong and Macau, we travel to Tibetan Lhasa, located on the rooftop of the world. We also take a look at the now historic alleys of Kashgar, in the controversial Xinjiang province, and the empty streets of Ordos, China's best-known ghost town. And we explore the expanding urban centers along the Yangtze River, all the way to the fast-paced metropolis of Shanghai. So join me on this journey through urban China. Shanghai. We begin our travels in Shanghai, one of China's most unique and dynamic cities. Its iconic skyline has become a symbol of the country's explosive economic growth of the past decades, and provides a glimpse into the many changes China has undergone. While it's a lot of glitz, glamour, and commerce here, Shanghai also has some beautiful historic architecture, peaceful parks and laid-back neighborhoods. Most travelers start their trip to Shanghai on the Bund, a waterfront promenade lined with former Western consulates and financial institutions. Many of these buildings are now used as restaurants, bars and fashion stores, and are a stunning contrast with the modern skyline of Pudong, Shanghai's business district. Most farmland only 3 decades ago, this spectacle of skyscrapers has become a major financial hub. Some of the buildings have observation decks, from where you can get amazing views over the city. For those interested in China's economic story, it may be worthwhile to hire a taxi to the city's waterport, the largest container terminal in the world. Shanghai is a city of commerce, which is best seen by walking Nanjing Lu, a pedestrian-only shopping street in the heart of the city. If the crowds become overwhelming, the nearby Jing'an Temple might bring some relief, where you can join a Buddhist ceremony, or simply escape the hustle and bustle from the streets. More traditional neighborhoods still exist, but you have to look closely these days to find them. Walking some of the narrow alleyways of this old Shanghai is an adventure on its own, and it's easy to get lost both in time and place. This authentic Shanghai, however, is disappearing fast, as many buildings are taken down and replaced by apartment towers and shopping malls. Whatever you think of it, this is the story of Shanghai, a city in constant flux, changing all the time. And who dares to guess what it will look like in a few decades? Harbin. After Shanghai, we travel all the way north of China, to visit Harbin, a city of over 5 million people, with a strong historic Russian influence. While it's a good place to visit all year, things really get busy in winter, when millions of people come to see the famous Ice and Snow Festival. Thousands of workers prepare for many weeks in bitterly cold conditions, building temples, sculptures and palaces, all made from ice and snow. Watching them at work may be as impressive as the festival itself. Other than admiring the craftsmanship and artwork, visitors can also take part in many winter activities. And as you walk around the festival grounds, you will see people sledding, skating, and using ice bicycles. While spectacular during the day, my favorite time to visit the festival was around sunset. At twilight, the ice sculptures are lit up with beautiful neon lights, creating a magical atmosphere. Temperatures also drop dramatically, so be sure to wear enough layers. Beijing. We travel onwards to Beijing, the nation's capital. Beijing has a history that goes back more than 3,000 years. It's the political center of China, but also brims with culture and creativity. A good place to start exploring the city is Tiananmen Square, where Mao Zedong proclaimed the People's Republic of China, in 1949, an event that changed the course of the country drastically. Since then, Tiananmen has been used for celebrations and parades, but was also the epicenter of a suppressed student protest in 1989. These days, the square is a hotspot for Chinese tourists, and gets especially busy on national holidays. Across from Tiananmen lies the Forbidden City, one of the most interesting historical sites in Beijing. Off-limits for 500 years, hence its name, this is the largest and best-preserved cluster of ancient buildings in China. 2 dynasties of emperors lived here, who only left the walled city when they really had to. Other landmarks in Beijing include the Summer Palace, and the Temple of Heaven Park, a beautiful complex of religious buildings in the south of the city. Watching some of the daily life in the parks, and some of the remaining hutongs, narrow alleyways in traditional neighborhoods, is one of the best things you can do in Beijing. You might come across people playing jinzi, best described as a mix of badminton and football, or people playing mahjong, the classic Chinese tile game. Don't leave the city without tasting, or at least smelling, Peking duck, a dish first served to emperors. And watching a show of Beijing opera. Beijing also had a modern face, which you will meet as you travel through the city. Head to Wangfujing to get a sense of the commercial face of Beijing, or take a look at the impressive stadiums inside the 2008 Olympics Park. A must-do when in Beijing is visit the Great Wall, a series of fortifications that were built along the borders of ancient Chinese states and later Imperial China. These stretches were linked when China was unified in the Qing dynasty, more than 2,000 years ago, and became known as the Great Wall of China. Chongqing, by some accounts the largest municipality in China, Chongqing is a mind-boggling place, and our next destination. Located on the mighty Yangtze River, it has become an important commercial and transportation hub, attracting people from around the region and beyond to work and live. A traveler's first impression of Chongqing can be overwhelming, as the city is built on steep mountains and hills, making it somewhat challenging to navigate. Gladly, a cable car spanning the Yangtze, and a light railway line, meandering through the tall skyscrapers, make it easier to get around. Nevertheless, visitors should be prepared to climb a lot of stairs. Chongqing lacks the attractions that other cities have, but it's a fascinating place to witness some of the urbanization process that takes place across the country. While China used to be a country of farmers, it is quickly becoming a nation of city dwellers, and in Chongqing you'll stumble on a contrasting image at almost every corner. Old neighborhoods need to make way for shopping malls, offices, and residential apartment towers, destroying one way of life, trying to create another. Lhasa. We continue our journey to Lhasa, the spiritual heartland of Tibet, located on the rooftop of the world. While there are other ways to reach Lhasa, I found the most interesting one by train, traveling on the highest railway line in the world, over 5,000 meters at some stretches. Traversing the rugged, barren Tibetan landscapes proved a beautiful introduction to arriving in Lhasa, which felt like stepping into a different world. The first views of the magnificent Potala Palace are unforgettable. This is the historical seat of the Tibetan government, and former winter residence of the Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of the Tibetan people, who is currently living in exile in India. Tibet has had a tumultuous history, dating back to the 7th century, and has known periods of independence and occupation by Chinese and Mongolian dynasties. More recently, in 1950, it was invaded by Communist China, which has ruled the region ever since. Much has been written about the Tibetan issue, and it's a good idea to read up before you travel here. And note that foreign travelers can only visit Tibet as part of a group tour. A good way to start exploring Lhasa is by joining pilgrims making a traditional kora, as they walk around the Potala Palace turning prayer wheels and mumbling mantras. Kora is a combination of pilgrimage and meditative practices in Tibetan Buddhism. It's also possible to climb the Potala Palace, but make sure to take your time, as Lhasa is located at an altitude of over 3,600 meters. Another spot not to miss is the Sarar Monastery, one of the largest in Tibet, and an important center of education. Come here for the daily debating session, when monks discuss philosophical and religious topics inside of their courtyards. My favorite area in Lhasa is called Barkor, essentially the spiritual center of the city. Countless pilgrims walk around the Jokhang temple, where they perform prostration, a ritual meant to purify negative thoughts and bad karma. Some prostrate all the way from their villages to Lhasa, a journey that can take several months, but most take part in shorter versions. Kashgar. Our next destination lies in far western China, in the now controversial Xinjiang province. Kashgar is, or was, a city like no other. Surrounded by mountains and deserts, it is closer to Baghdad than Beijing, and its original inhabitants, the Uyghurs, are closely linked to the people of Central Asia. It was an important stop on the ancient Silk Road, and has been at the crossroads of cultures and religions for over 2 millennia. Please note that I visited Kashgar in 2010, and many things have changed since then. Before being demolished and rebuilt, Kashgar's old town was where most travelers went, to get a sense of the traditions and customs of the Uyghur people. This was where craftsmen have been working for generations, creating beautiful silverware, clothes, handicrafts, and other things. The narrow alleyways in these remaining pockets of old town were filled with activities and charm, and I could spend hours, if not days, here just soaking up the atmosphere. And every Sunday, traders from around Kashgar gathered at a massive livestock market, unrivaled in the region. Thousands of goats, cows, horses, donkeys, and other animals invaded the town at sunrise, accompanied by farmers, nomads and shepherds. It was a fascinating sight that could easily be the set of a movie. These traditional scenes, however, were disappearing quickly after the Chinese government made Kashgar and the entire province of Xinjiang a so-called top priority. In recent years, things escalated further, with around 1 million, mostly Uyghur people, being detained in what the Chinese government calls re-education camps. This process has been condemned globally, and the treatment of the Uyghurs in and out of these camps has been labeled a crime against humanity by the UN and other international organizations. Qingdao. After Kashgar, we travel back to eastern China to visit Qingdao, one of China's most beautiful coastal cities. Set on the shores of the Yellow Sea, with rolling green hills as backdrop, it surely is a scenic place. Many Chinese tourists come here to visit the beaches and eat some of the best seafood in the country. But it was the German architecture that caught my eye when I first arrived here. German naval officers invaded Qingdao in the late 19th century and left their mark on the city, building railway lines, churches, villas, schools, and even a brewery. Qingdao is now one of China's largest beer producers. Perhaps the most striking building is St. Michael's Catholic Church. The church has a beautiful interior, but equally interesting is what often takes place on the outside. Soon-to-be married brides and grooms, wearing Western-style dresses, take orders from busy camera crews. The wedding industry is booming in China, with a rising middle class able to afford more extravagant festivities, including pre-wedding photo shoots. Like many cities in China, Qingdao is also changing rapidly, and the contrasts become bigger as you move into the suburbs. Here you can see everything from disappearing neighborhoods and second-hand markets, to wholesale companies and industrial centers. Qingdao's modern city center feels entirely different. It's only a short taxi or subway ride away from the old town, but I suggest using the waterfront promenade where you can walk through some beautiful areas of the city. Wuhan. We travel back to central China to visit Wuhan, a city that will forever be linked to the global pandemic that changed our world so abruptly. I visited Wuhan twice before this all started, and met a sprawling city, with massive bridges spanning the Yangtze River, busy shopping streets, but also some charismatic old neighborhoods. Wuhan is actually a combination of 3 formerly independent cities that have grown into one huge metropolis. Its history is often compared to Shanghai, with its concession-era buildings and commercial energy, but the city also has its own distinct character. One of the most iconic buildings here is the Yellow Crane Tower, from where you can see much of the city's skyline, and also the historic Wuhan Yangtze River Bridge. This double-deck road and rail bridge was the first modern bridge to span the Yangtze River, and was completed in 1957. And that concludes my journey through China. Yet I still hope this video gave you some travel ideas, or at least provided a glimpse into these captivating but complicated cities. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you again next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share your opinion below. Travel safely.